Welcome to the Dropship Podcast, where you'll learn how to build and grow a high-ticket dropshipping business and hear stories from successful e-commerce entrepreneurs. Let's kick this thing off. Hey, welcome back to the Dropship Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about if you're the person listening to this and you're stuck on niche selection, you listen to our last two episodes and you still haven't taken action, this is the episode for you to listen to. So stick around. We're hopefully going to push you over the edge and give you that extra little nudge you need to get started.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And so many people get stuck on niche selection. So definitely, if you're somebody out there who, you know, you've gone through the research process, you've been trying to come up with an idea and you've got some good ones, but you just can't quite pull the trigger, don't feel bad. You're definitely not alone. I think people get stuck here a lot. And, you know, I mean, it's a big decision. You know, what niche, what market are you going to operate your business in? It might be your first business. You don't want to get it wrong. And I think a lot of people really get tripped up here, just going around in circles, you know, in their mind, thinking, you know, am I going to make the wrong choice? Am I going to make the right choice? And yeah, I think, you know, it feels like a big deal.
I think I did that exact thing you're saying right now, John. I can remember it. Like, you know, I think I said on the Patreon we chopped up there that my first store that I never launched was brickfirebarbecue.com. It was the only thing I knew. It was my ex-wife's uncle, you know, national sales rep for Memphis. So he had a Memphis, her dad had a Memphis, her brother had a Memphis. Everybody gets a Memphis, right? And like every meal was on a pellet grill. And so like, that's the only place my head could go. I couldn't think of other ideas, right? I didn't want to use those lists. I knew out of the gates, those lists were a terrible idea. And so I couldn't think of an idea. And then like, I couldn't also push forward with this one because I wasn't sure if it was a great idea. Right. And I also had to like show, you know, as somebody who had never started a business, I needed to call her uncle and be like, hey, can I sell your grills and stuff? Like I felt so, in my head, right. I felt powerless to like know whether I was making the right decision. And I also kind of felt like if I failed once, it would be over. Like for some reason that was in a belief in my head that I couldn't fail this first time. Like this was my only chance at it. For some reason, I believed that, and that's just not true either.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of feels like, I think a lot of people get stuck in the thinking, and this may be something that's built up over social media and things that they're seeing online, that there actually is like a significant chance that this is something you can get wrong, right? And I want to say right now, like it's actually very unlikely if you've gone through the, you know, at least close to sort of a correct research process, that you're going to end up with a couple of ideas that can't work, right? So like, you know, I've worked with tons of people through niche selection, and honestly, very few people actually have at the top of their list a bad idea, right? Very few people. Most people actually have good ones, and it's not that they haven't actually come up with a good idea or anything like that. It's just they get stuck in their own head. Right, they go round and round. I think there's two types of people. There's the type of person who, it tends to overthink things a bit and go round and round in circles. And then there's the sort of person who was actually like me when I first did it, who's just like, I'm just going to go for it, right? Yeah, I got something at the top of my list. I'm just going to dive straight in and do it, and it'll work, sort of thing. I think that's how I picked my first one, which in hindsight, if I did it again now, I wouldn't have picked, but it still worked out, right? And I think that's the thing, right? There's no perfect niches. That's my opinion right now. There's no like golden ideas out there. And I think people get stuck expecting to find some, you know, Easter egg of a niche that nobody else has thought of ever. And, you know, it's the best idea on the planet. And that shouldn't be your expectation going in here. You're just looking for a niche that ticks the boxes. And if it ticks the boxes, and the boxes being, you know, if you listen to our last few episodes where me and Ben talked through, you know, niche selection, or those episodes where we talked through that, you tick the boxes, you've got a good idea. And you might have 3 or 4 that you've ticked all the boxes. And what the good news is that all 3 or 4 of those can work out for you. And it really just comes down to your personal preference. Which one do you feel best about? Which one, maybe you identify with one more than the other, or maybe you like the customer more in one than the other. And that's literally where you go.
Hey, just want to jump in here real quick and say if you're loving this show, the number one thing you can do to help us out is simply go to Spotify or iTunes or whatever you're listening on and smash that follow button, that subscribe button, and leave us a review. It really does help us reach more people. And if you've got a friend that you know should be listening to this, send the podcast over to them. We'd love to have them join us as well. And real quick, 2 quick resources I have for you. If you want to join us in our free Facebook group, you can find that at facebook.com/groups/dropship tribe, or just search the Dropship Tribe. And we also have a paid version of this podcast where you can get even more of Jon and I and longer form content. You can find that on Patreon at patreon.com/dropship podcast. All right, back to the show. I can remember vividly being worried about this stuff though, Jon. Like I was $40,000 in debt. I got a $1,000 magical credit card that allowed me to buy the course I took to learn about e-commerce. Right. And so I felt like I was at the end of my ropes. I was living paycheck to paycheck. And that if this one didn't work, then I'm in a worse place or just as bad place, right? I didn't look at it as whatever happens here, I'm going to learn something, right? Like I had a very fixed mindset. This was, black and white. This was either going to work or it wasn't going to work. There was no like middle ground where I would make a few sales and I would learn some marketing and I'd start understanding what I liked about business and what I didn't like about business and what I liked about some customers and what I didn't like about customers. And like that, I didn't realize it was a journey when I started. I thought it was a zero sum, like black and white. This is either going to work or it doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, that was like the worst feeling in the world to me because it seemed as though I was very, very stuck in life.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally get that. And I see that. And, there's not, there, I don't know. I think that's for people who feel like they're in a similar boat. I mean, obviously that's, I guess, something that you'll work through it. And there's not really, I'm just trying to think like, what's the thing you can say to that person to, make it all better. But all I can say is, I've worked with, like I say, hundreds of people through niche selection, and I've seen a lot of people who went through high ticket drop shipping and, weren't successful on their first store, and when you look at the why that was, a majority of the time, it's not because they picked products that couldn't work. Like, if I'm honest, that's not the reason that their site didn't work out. So like, I kind of want to actually sort of, in a sense, I don't want to downplay the importance of somebody who's thinking that and feeling that in their mind that, it's a really difficult decision. But I want to go back to, if you did the research correctly, right? If you tick the boxes, you actually can't have the wrong idea sitting in front of you. Like how we do this is so tried and tested that you literally are not going to have an unworkable idea sitting in front of you. That's like, for me, that's how I think about it. It's that simple. I just put my faith and my trust in that process. And if I go through that and I've got a good idea, go for it.
Yeah. I would just encourage everyone to think long-term too. Like if the first one, again, quote unquote, doesn't work, like you're also not taking a whole lot of risk on here, right? And so like you have the opportunity to pivot. You're going to learn something from this. And this whole thing is a journey. If you're thinking right now that someday you're going to get to this magical place where you have a operating business that's cash flowing and you don't work anymore, and like that's the day you're going to be happy, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Like you have to enjoy this journey. And so this is part of it. This is, albeit one of the more scarier parts of it. I remember it distinctly. You got to kiss the girl. As Gary Vee would say, like you have to kiss the girl and just take action and choose something on your list. I do want to throw something in there. If you are a member of Dropship Breakthrough, which we would love to have you get a free niche validation call if you become a member. So you'll get a 20-30 minute call with Jon, where Jon will literally talk you through some of this. So if you think you have an idea that you're worried about, hopefully Jon can put you at ease. We'd love to have you in the course. If you're not a member, go back and listen to the last 2 episodes where we chopped up our Patreon episode number 1, where we listed out all the criteria Jon and I look at. In fact, I actually went against it recently and paid the price dearly. And we also recorded a Patreon on that where you can listen to Ben's Big L. We'd love to have you over there on Patreon as well. If you want to go listen to the whole episode, all back episodes are free. So check that out. But take action. I can't say anything more than like, just get started. I want to push you. If I was next to you, I'd give you a shove off the cliff, because that's all it is. You just have to start.
Absolutely. The worst thing that happens here is people just go round and round in circles in their mind. I've seen people do it for literally months. And guess what's not happening? in those months that you're going round and round in your head? Nothing. You're not making any progress. Whereas if you just pick an idea, you get started, you go for it. Like Ben said, you're going to learn a ton. You don't have much to lose. And even if it's not an ideal business, even a mediocre business, you could still sell it for 40 grand, 50 grand, something like that. If you want to pivot to something else later, and you're still coming out ahead.
Thanks for listening to the Dropship Podcast. You can find all the show notes for this episode at dropshippodcast.com. And if you're ready to take the next step in your dropshipping journey, we invite you to join us inside Dropship Breakthrough, where Jon and I will walk you through step by step in starting your own high-ticket dropshipping e-commerce business. But that's not all. Dropship Breakthrough will also teach you everything you'll need to know to grow your business and take it to the next level. So head over to dropshipbreakthrough.com and sign up for our free training that will help you take the first steps towards building and growing your own profitable high-ticket dropshipping business.